Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1459B, and today's date is December 28th, 2017, and the title of the episode is Russia Presents Evidence Against the Cabal and Repeats Their Call. Let's get into the economic collapse, political, and geopolitical news. Now, it looks like Obamacare is not doing as well as the corporate media wants everyone to think. And we've been tracking Obamacare, where we know that the enrollment is going down because premiums are going up. The exchanges, well, they're going bankrupt. And we can see that a lot of people are starting to realize that this system, this healthcare system, is not a very good system. Right now, they're saying there's about 8.7 million people that enrolled in healthcare plans for 2018 using the marketplace for Obamacare. And this is actually quite low. Now remember, when Obamacare came online, it was all those people that already had health insurance, those people who are Medicare, Medicaid, they just, moved over to this new system. And it looks like from the height, where they were getting 12, 15 million people to join, it's declining every single year. If we go back to 2016, there was 11.5 million people that were enrolled in Obamacare. Now, in the year of 2016, going into 2017, we can see that it has dropped to 9.2 million. And here we are at 8.7 million. And again, these numbers will be revised once again because when people start getting the bills for Obamacare next year, they're going to start dropping out. So this number is going to drop even further. And what this tells us is that Obamacare is just too expensive for the everyday person. And if we really want to show government that we really don't want this, it's like any other product. If you don't want a certain product, what do? You don't buy it. Then the corporation realizes no one's buying this product, nobody wants it. Same thing with government products. That's what this really is. If we don't go ahead and we don't go and purchase this, it shows the government that, we don't want this. Because if this number drops to 2-3 million people, then they say, well, look, we have the real numbers here. People don't want it. Look how low it's gotten. It's ridiculous. It's not working. The people have spoken. This is how we get our message across. This is how we tell them it's not for us. And we could see that message is coming through because every single year it's continually declining, where people are saying, no, this is not good. We don't need this. We can see that the entire Trump-Russian probe is a complete sham. Mueller isn't even investigating ties to Russia, Russian collusion anymore. He's not even doing that. What is he doing? What is he looking for? Well, he is using a form of financial terrorism to bankrupt Trump associates with white-collar crime investigations that have absolutely no connection to the 2016 election, much less Russia. And Mueller, he's assembled a team of prosecutors with expertise in handling financial investigations and white-collar crime, and obtained guilty pleas for crimes that weren't committed during the election year. So, as we can see with Manafort and the rest, he's going in a completely different direction, and this whole Russian collusion thing is completely made up. And you can see this has nothing to do about Russian hacking the U.S. elections, but rather about attempting to tie up former Trump associates with charges that have nothing to do with the election or even Trump in general, with the hope that they will eventually turn on the president and give them information that they can use. This is the strategy that they're using right now. Will it work? Most likely not. Out in Israel, we see things are really heating up there. The Israeli police conclude their corruption investigation against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And we see that there are many different indictments against him, his family, other people in his administration. And what they're saying is that when these come out in 2018, and it might be as soon as May 2018, it's going to be earth-shattering. And what we're seeing right now is that these indictment recommendations will bear a lot of information that we didn't know, and it will cause an earthquake here. This is coming from Israel. Now, Netanyahu is accused of offering to pass legislation favorable to a newspaper publisher in exchange for favorable coverage. However, the bill never passed. Another case involving bribery related to the purchase of submarines from Germany, and it doesn't involve Netanyahu. However, at least 2 of his confidants are under investigation for suspicion of wrongdoing. His wife, Sarah, is mired in 3 legal disputes, 2 involving the receipt of illegal gifts and favors from businessmen in exchange for advancing their interest. In another case, she's accused of fraudulently receiving about $100,000 for her participation in a scam to order meals at Israel's expense without authorization. And they're saying that there's a lot more charges. So we can see there's a lot happening out in the world today, especially in the Middle East, Israel, and many different places. And we're going to have to see how this plays out. And this might cause elections to occur in Israel, and Netanyahu might be ousted, and there might be someone else completely different in office. So we'll have to see how this plays out, because we can see everything in the Middle East is completely changing right now. Kiev is planning to hold regular mobilization in early 2018, and as we know, the U.S. is providing Kiev with lethal, well, some people say lethal, some people say non-lethal. This was already created and signed off by Obama. This is the Ukrainian Freedom Act, and I believe this was being used to get those individuals to vote for the tax plan, and what is going to be sent over to Ukraine is not going to be worth that much. It's not going to change anything. It's not going to help the Ukrainian forces. It's not going to do what John McCain, Lindsey Graham, and the rest want. They think they're going to be getting all these weapons and all these things, and they're going to win over the southeastern people. But I think what is happening is what's going to be shipped over there is going to be so minuscule that it's not going to do anything. And I think what Trump has done here is he's convinced them that, yeah, listen, if you vote for my tax plan, I will send some stuff over there. Now, again, what stuff is he going to be sending over there? We'll have to see. Right now, we see there's, sniper rifles. We see maybe anti-tank guns. That's not signed off as of yet. And even if they do, if they send over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, that is not going to change anything in Ukraine. Because you have to remember, go back in time. The United States has been supplying weaponry all along to Kiev, covertly and on the books. They've also had soldiers there training the Ukrainian forces. Now, they've tried many attempts to go into southeastern Ukraine, and it didn't work. Those people there fought back and pushed the Ukrainian army, and it was a complete disaster for the Ukrainian army. There was one point where they were pushing them back so far, they could have taken over the entire country. So what we're seeing right now is this is their last-ditch attempt, and they think by voting for this tax plan that all these weapons are going to be delivered to Ukraine and it's going to turn the tides. But I think what's going to happen here is the weapons that are going to be delivered, or maybe it'll get caught up in red tape and it will never be delivered. I think Trump played them to get their vote on the tax deal. And I think that's what is really going on out in Ukraine. But we'll have to wait and see, because as we know, the neocons and the rest, they play dirty. They push events. They might have an event in Ukraine to say, see, we need more of these weapons. We'll have to wait to see what happens, because we can see that they're trying to push a war in North Korea. They're trying to push one in Ukraine, and they're not going to give up. We see Lavrov is saying that there is no need for the United States to get involved into a bloody war with North Korea. He's saying that the United States is misinterpreting what Russia is saying. And now he said that Russia says the following: Russia does not share the desire of some states to exert maximum pressure on North Korea, which is often interpreted by them as establishing full economic and political blockade of this country by all available means. Russia's position here is completely opposite to what the neocons, the warmongers, the Cabal really want to do. And they keep taking what Russia is saying and they're twisting it. And what they're saying is that, listen, there needs to be a peaceful resolution. North Korea is not going to attack anyone. North Korea is not going to do anything. Now, I see the Cabal, the corporate media, they're playing up North Korea big time, where they're saying that the defectors, they had radiation detected on them. One of them had some type of anthrax antibodies on them as they were running out. And they're trying to make the case to fit their story where North Korea is trying to place anthrax on top of their missiles, use biological weapons, and fire nuclear missiles at us. And this is what they do. They build the propaganda up. They make you believe that this is really happening. And then they have every single news outlet carry the story to reinforce what they're trying to convince you of. And what's really happening is none of this is really happening. It's all fake, phony, and false. This is the methods they use to try to convince you that their story is real without having any facts to back it up. Just because it's rebroadcast on many different networks and ABC, NBC, CNN, MSNBC, and the rest keep repeating it, doesn't mean it's true. Actually, most of the time it's false. We see the U.S. has resumed full visa services in Turkey. The Department of State is confident that the security posture has improved there, and they're allowing for the full resumption of visa services in Turkey. We see Russia is out there, and they are pointing the finger, and they're saying they have more evidence than they know what to do with. They're saying, yes, U.S. Special Operation troops are secretly harboring and training former fighters of the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria at the remote American air base in Al-Tanf. Remember, Al-Tanf is surrounded by the Syrian army. And they're saying there's training going on there. Now, this is the strategic nexus of the country's borders with Iraq and Jordan. This is where they brought these troops in from Jordan, from Iraq into Syria. Now, the charge was made by General of the Army, Chief of Russian Military's General Staff, and Deputy Defense Minister. And they're saying that they have drones, they have satellites, and they've detected brigades of the Islamic State militants in and around Al-Tanf, and another U.S. military base near the Kurdish-controlled city in the country's northeast. This is also where they've been training the Islamic State. And what Russia is saying, that these Islamic State fighters, they're being rebranded as the new Syrian army. Now, once again, this is what the Cabal does. They take the same exact people, the moderate rebels, al-Nusra, Al-Qaeda, Islamic State, no matter who they are, and they continually rebrand them. The Syrian Democratic Forces, and now they're saying this is the new Syrian army. It's the same exact paid mercenaries. And what Russia's doing right now, they are pointing out that, yes, this is still happening in Syria. Now, it looks like Russia, they are continually, like I said, pointing out this evidence. They're also saying, and they're calling the United States on this, the United States, the coalition forces, must leave Syria. Syria is saying the United States, the coalition forces, must leave Syria. Now, Lavrov went a step further. He stated that the UN Security Council has not approved the work of the United States and its coalition in Syria, nor has been invited by the Syrian legitimate government. And what he's saying here is that, listen, we're continually calling you on this, and if you don't abide by what is happening here in Syria, by what we're saying, we're going to the UN. The world will vote. And you know what the world's going to vote? The world is going to vote to remove yourself from a country that is sovereign, that you weren't invited into. And there's no reason for them to even be there. Now, James Mattis, he is saying that the troops are going to stay in Syria until achieving progress in the political settlement. Now, Lavrov pointed out that such statement is surprising because it means that Washington reserves the right to determine the progress and wants to keep control over part of Syrian territory to achieve the result it wants. And the United States, they don't have this right there. They have no rights in this country whatsoever to demand anything. And they affirmed that the UN SC 2254, which the United States supported, the decision on the future of Syria can only be taken by the Syrian people. And this is what Russia is pushing right now. So we've had many, many calls for the United States to leave Syria. And I think the next step, they're going to the UN. And the United States will be forced to leave Syria. And we can see that time is ticking down for the Cabal. It's ticking down in North Korea. It's ticking down in Ukraine. And once again, unless they tried something with Iran or someplace else, they're rotating, actually, if you really look at it. They're trying everything. And once again, they're being pushed against the wall. Their backs are against the wall. And they only have one thing left. Because you can see here in the States, the corporate media, they're struggling to keep their story straight on what's really going on. And every time they try to report on something, with the ridiculous things like, Trump is watching TV all day long. I mean, all this garbage is just fake, phony, and false. They're just throwing anything they possibly can out there. And it doesn't even make sense half the time. They're keeping the public busy with garbage because they don't want people to realize and understand what is really happening around the world, that their power is being eliminated. And it looks like they might be preparing, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's some type of an event during the Olympic period of time, or maybe in the next couple of weeks, because we could see that time is really ticking down and they don't have that much time out there. Because once the United States starts to leave, because the UN, the people, there might be a resolution that is brought up, they vote on it, and the United States has to leave, well, it's game over. Because then they have North Korea, Ukraine, and Iran. And if they don't have Syria, Iran's not going to do, it's not going to do them that much good because Russia and China backs them. So what are they really going to do there? Iran is not going to attack anyone. So this is going to be a tough, tough situation. So all they have left is Ukraine and North Korea. And this is the only thing they can do unless they have some type of an event in Syria before they actually leave. And we can see right now, it could happen anywhere, anytime within the next month or two. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.